food chain is a series of organisms that depend on each other as prey or food to survive, and they are sorted into different trophic levels with energy transferring between them as one organism consumes the other. It consists of three main groups of organisms: the producers, consumers, and decomposers. Producers mix their own energy from sunlight, usually by photosynthesis, and the consumers obtain energy from feeding on other organisms. They can be primary, secondary, or tertiary consumers, depending on whether they are herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores. And the third group is decomposers, which gets energy from dead or waste organic matters, for example, bacteria or fungi. Energy is lost as it passes along the food chain. For example, energy from food is converted to heat energy during respiration, and consumers doesn't consume the whole of another animal. Thirdly, enzymes break down large food molecules for absorption, but those that cannot be digested are lost from the body as feces. This is an energy pyramid diagram. It is shaped like a pyramid because only 10% of the energy is passed on to the next trophic level. However, it doesn't show all the connections between the organisms because some animals feed on several trophic levels, which can be shown in the food web diagram where the relationship is not linear. Moving on to the biochemical cycles. Nitrogen gas is not usable by plants unless they're turned into nitrates or ammonia. Their functions in plants include being a main component of chlorophyll and making amino acids, which are building blocks of protein. Protein is essential for growth and repair, and the making of enzymes and hormones, and maintaining body structure. When there's lightning, it causes some of the nitrogen gas to combine with oxygen, forming nitrogen oxides. These oxides dissolve in rain and is washed into the soil, where they form nitrates. To produce artificial fertilizers, nitrogen and hydrogen react in an industrial chemical process, which forms ammonia, which is used to make ammonium compounds and nitrates. The next stage of the nitrogen cycle is nitrification. Nitrifying bacteria live in soil or root nodules. They combine nitrogen gas from the air spaces with other substances to make ions and other compounds. When these bacteria die, the part of the biomass which is the fixed nitrogen turns into ammonium. The cycle also involves consumers and decomposers. Animals obtain nitrogen when they eat the plants. They absorb the amino acids which are used for protein synthesis. However, they cannot store the excess protein, so they produce nitrogenous waste material released by the deamination of amino acids. When animals die, bacteria and fungi decompose the dead body. Protein containing nitrogen is broken down to ammonium ions and released. The ammonium ions and compounds can seep into the soil, and that is when the nitrifying bacteria comes into play. They can turn nitrates and ammonium ions in the soil into nitrogen gas, which goes back into the atmosphere. The complete cycle is shown in this diagram. Next is the carbon cycle. There are 5 main stages, them being photosynthesis, respiration, consumption, decomposition, and fossil fuels. During photosynthesis, carbon and carbon dioxide becomes part of glucose in plants. However, in respiration, glucose is broken down and carbon becomes a part of carbon dioxide again. It is later released into the atmosphere. Plants can be consumed by animals. Carbon dioxide is therefore released into the air as these animals respire, or they're excreted into the soil as feces. When these animals die, decomposers feed on them and obtain carbon. They later release carbon dioxide as they respire. Some of the carbon compounds in soil later becomes fossil fuels as they are stored under high pressure and temperature. Lastly, I'm going to talk about the water cycle. There are 4 stages: evaporation, condensation, precipitation, and transpiration. First, water evaporates from the ocean, lakes, or rivers, as you can see in the diagram. The water vapor then rises and condenses when the temperature is low enough. They accumulate and form clouds. The water then travels up the xylem vessels into the leaves, where some of it evaporates and diffuses out of the stomata as water vapor, which is the process of transpiration. Water evaporates from the ocean, lakes, or rivers. The water vapor rises and condenses when the temperature is low enough, and they accumulate to form clouds. Rainwater can also seep into the soil and run into rivers where it is returned to the sea.